Well, it's Horsham District, and while there's no footy this weekend, we've still got the big Peter Ware to do a report card on the season. And without having a game, which is a real strange break in the season that they're taking, he joins me now. How are you, Big Weary?
Yeah, I'm going really well, thanks, Wayne. And it's been a great time to take advantage of another bye week that the league's had. And I'm over in Western Australia on Rocknest Island at the moment. Currently looking over the Indian Ocean, having a pretty good time, Wayne.
Oh, that's just nice of you just to share that. Good chance for you to have a rest from the farm and the seeding program that's been flat out for a number of weeks, and then obviously the footy program too. But the report card, Weary, when you went to school, who was your favourite teacher at the Rainbow Primary School?
I think as most young sporty country kids, the PE teacher, no matter how good or bad they were, was always a favourite because that was the subject most people look forward to during the day, Flo Man.
Is that the only one you got an A in? The rest of it you struggled?
Oh, I was okay at maths, but apart from that, there wasn't too many A's on the report card.
Oh, right. You applied yourself to the recess and lunchtime breaks where end-to-end kicking of the footy was very much a regular task.
Yeah, that was a great part, and it featured some good players who are still pretty prominent in our senior team today, Flo Man, so it was always a good game of markers up at lunch and recess time.
All right, let's have a look at the report card then for the sides, because we've got a ladder that shows this. Rupp on top in senior footy. Are you surprised?
No, not at all. After their previous season, I know it got cut short last year, but they have been building momentum for a long time. And even going back 4 or 5 years, Flo Man, we always spoke about Rapaniav, and they probably didn't realise how good they could be. And I think they're starting to understand that, and they've got some really good continuity now with their coach, Jack Musgrove. And to his credit, he's really leading from the front this season as well. He continues to kick bags of goals. So no surprise to see Rapaniav at the top of the ladder.
Harrow and Kalki both have depth, and it doesn't seem to be waning. It does seem, though, that maybe Harrow at the under-14 level have, for the first time in a long time, got one side that is struggling.
Yeah, I think both of those teams have been consistent forces in the Horsham District League for a long time, and they do seem to have that depth every year. You know, you have little doubts creep in whether Kalki might be losing a few or whether Harrow have lost a few, and they top up with a couple of players, but not many because they've just got such a solid base as clubs, and they always seem to put a really competitive senior team on the park, and this year's no different. And I think we all probably thought Harrow would be right up there, but Kalki's definitely surprised a few in being third on the ladder and still pushing for that top spot.
Okay, Eden, Hope Apsley and the Swifts are 6th and 7th. Fourth is Parrot Rainbow with 28, and then Narrabri Quantong, who you meet in the next game next week on 24. There's a drawn game between Eden Hope Apsley and the Swifts. That we'll talk about in a minute. But that being the case, is there a bit of pressure on both you and Narrabri Quantong for your places, because you won't want that draw to come back to haunt you later on?
Yeah, I've got no doubt that draw will have an impact on the ladder at the end of the season, and hopefully it doesn't push a team like us out, but it quite easily could. And I think percentage is now going to be really important as well. And it's amazing. I see the result there with Apsley. Draws aren't very common, but it seems like the Apsley club have one nearly every year. And this last week against Stawell, that was the result again. But it's going to get quite tight at the bottom half of the second half of the six there, and we're one of those clubs that's going to be fighting for a final spot now.
Absolutely. I tell you what, it's going to get interesting. Lahara and Kaniva, Nadimak and Pimpernel and Taylors Lake make up the numbers now. I don't see any of them pushing for finals. Let's have a look at last week's fixtures and the games of round 10 action. You mentioned there the draw. We'll have a look at it straight away. 9-7 apiece, the Swifts and Eden Hope Apsley in an absolute beauty at North Park.
Yeah, they could be barely separated all day. I think Stawell got a little bit ahead. Eden Hope got a little bit ahead going into that last quarter, but Stawell were able to bring back the margin. And as a siren went, it was a draw. And I noticed Matty Butler wasn't in that game. I think travelling from Adelaide, it might have been a bit too far for him to get to Stawell, Flo Man. So he's a key player that wasn't in the match. But obviously we expected a tight game, and it couldn't get any tighter than a draw.
Oh, Ben McIntyre starred, Timmy McIntyre, the star that Minyat Matoa days. So we know how good they are. 3 goals from him, Benny 2, and great great performance by Edno Bapsley, but at the same time, Stawell hanging on for that draw was a brilliant game. 3 goals to Ben Davis and Scott Carey. He's one of the stars of the competition. Now, in the Rachel Quantong easily accounted for Taylors Lake, 21-12 to 7-4. Other matches had a very good performance by Kaniva Lior, 12-5-77 to Laharam, 11-9-75. Was that a little surprise, Weary?
Yeah, well, it was always going to be close, and Laharam have had 4 or 5 really close games this year, which they have been able to win, but yeah, at home, Kaniva just snuck over the line, and a close win like that on your home deck can really put some team morale into the club, so hopefully they can build on that for the remainder of the year and have a couple more wins.
I know you talk about Timmy Tyler as a star player over at Rupp. They got Andy Fellon, who we also know can play. Jack Musgrove boots 7. The nucleus of a star outfit, 16-10, 106 to Natty Muck, 7-11. I probably thought Natty Muck got closer than what they might have.
Yeah, Natty Muck have been pushing teams. They even pushed Harrow earlier in the year, but they have had those couple of bad blowout games. But yeah, Rapanyup in front of a big crowd, no doubt, with the opening of the new change rooms. Played a great performance. And as you mentioned there, Timmy Tyler, the ruckman, Andy Phelan on baller, and then Jack Musgrove up at full forward. So 3 pretty prominent players in key positions led the way for the Panthers.
Jaden Cooney booted another 6 goals in a massive game for his club, and the Keys again get the job done, 24-23 to 2 goals 7. Not a lot to say probably there for Clint Burdett's Pimpernel. Let's move though to the Jeparit Rainbow Storm report, and Weary. No goals to 3/4 time. I'm going to give the report card from your PE teacher, and that is that even in this grade, you didn't pass, Peter.
Yeah, it was a very disappointing day for the Jeparit Rainbow boys. We were completely outplayed. But we're playing in a different game flow, man. The weather was quite wet, but the Arrow boys made it look like a dry day, and it just gave us a real lesson in wet weather football. And I think luckily they probably took their foot off the pedal a little bit with 5 or 10 minutes to go. Otherwise, we might not have even got one of those 3 goals flow, man. So a disappointing afternoon for the Jeparit Rainbow boys, and probably a bit of wake-up call at what finals footy's all about. And, we've still got a bit to work on in the second half of the year if we're going to compete with these better teams.
Yeah, Jay Kerwood had his wings clipped, just the 1 goal. And I think the big fella, Weary, found himself playing a little bit of defensive action, didn't you, Weary?
No. I was my day got off to a bad start, so man, I went to the Balmoral ground instead of Harrow. And I could have stayed at the Balmoral ground because I didn't do much when I eventually got to Harrow right ground, so man. But pretty ordinary day from me and a few of my teammates. But yeah, Charles Wild started at half forward, and you could see he really wanted to get involved in the contest, and we put him in the centre of the ground, and he did all he could. But yeah, he was on his own on the weekend, unfortunately, Flowman. It was a pretty disappointing result for us.
It was. Daniel Batson tried hard. Tyler Edelston always is good. Your mate Simon Clugston is a definite A grade every time he comes out. Scotty Driscoll also amongst it. The twos. Well, it's never easy when you come up against that mob in the twos because they are a class outfit, but it was a very, very hard day. I'm just going to say it straight. It was a very hard day for everybody heading down south to Balmoral or Harrow if you finally got yourself to the Harrow ground, Weary. It was 16-10 to 1-1 in the reserves.
Yeah, very similar game to the seniors. They just played their ground and the conditions a lot better than our boys, and once again in the twos we struggled to hit the scoreboard as well, and the Harrow boys had a comfortable win.
Yeah, Nick Clugston got a goal, Cody Effortgood, Matty Millwood and Alan Robertson, Maxie McKenzie, Jakey Parry and Nicholas Clugston that were amongst the better players. Cluggo there getting into them, which is good to see. And finally that we get to the junior grades now, and this is the 17s. We know that they're struggling for the numbers each week, and this was pretty hard, but they got 7 goals. It was a high-scoring game, and you talked about the conditions. Was this a pretty good surprise for everyone? Because I think your lads probably did pretty well.
Yeah, 7 goals is a great result. It does help. Lewis Cox has played some not bad senior football this year, so to inject someone like that back into his own age group in the under-17s made a big difference. And Archer Laverty and Caleb Bond and Jamie Eckerman are all playing some good football, man. So it's good to see him get some goals on the board, even though it wasn't enough to overcome a pretty good Harrow under-17 team.
Yeah, Laverty booted 4 goals, so that was a great effort from him. Okay, to the kids in the morning. They started out this game with the view that we're going to win. We're going to beat Harrow. Now, I mentioned earlier that this is the grade where Harrow now, after all these seasons I've been covering the Horsham district, for a start we see their kids not being able to beat some of the average mid-range sides. Jeparit Rainbow have come up the rankings and a 5-8-38 have beaten Harrow Balmoral 2-4-16. They've never beaten the Kangaroos before.
Yeah, this turned into the main event of the day, man, and it was great to see the boys get a quick start. That's always so important when you play away from home, and they continued on from that great start in the first quarter, and it was good to see Lenny Weir, who's been down the back line. They swung him forward and he managed to kick 3 snags, man. So he had a great game, as did Will Fisher, and it was good to see Caleb Tregenza and the better players as well.
Has anything been said this week that L. Weir kicked more goals than P. Weir?
Well, he was the first bloke I ran into when I got to the game, man, and he let me know, and he also let me know I was water boy during the senior game that I was yet to kick a goal late in the last quarter. So I think he won the day.
I think he's got a bit of the very good humour about him too. William Fisher, Lenny Weir, Bronte Everett, Dustin Eckerman, Caleb Tregenza and Parker Gould got going. William Fisher and Fletcher Keller also kicked a goal with Lenny Weir, who did a couple of good celebrations there for the crowd when he kicked those goals, and they won that match. Okay, well, it's a very interesting report card for your club. Just a quick comment on where you see the twos and the kids for the rest of the season.
I think overall so far it's been a successful season. I know we got found out a little bit against Harrow on the weekend, but we've had some great matches, and I think we'll be more than competitive come finals. The twos have been a little bit inconsistent, but that's just through player numbers, and it is hard with the revolving door that can sometimes affect reserves for them to have a consistent season. But in the second half, I think when we've got a bit more settled senior side, we'll see some good results from the reserves boys. And yeah, it's great to see the under-14s footy going so well, and they're right on track to represent us in the finals. And also the netballers are having a great season in the A grade there, man. So look for some netball representation in the final series as well.
Yeah, great stuff. Sixth place on the ladder are the 14s. They are now 2 games clear of Harrow. They put that distance between the two clubs that we talked about last week. The 8-point game has gone their way, and now they get a real opportunity, if they can keep on winning, to make it to the finals. And we'll look forward to talking to Weary when he's on home soil and back from Rottnest Island. Have a great rest of your break, and we'll catch you next week, big fella.
Thanks very much, Wayne.